Every Halloween, Sawtooth Jack, a monster from the Midwest, rises in the cornfields of a tiny town and makes his way to the nearby church. The villagers have an annual custom they call the Run because they know they must do something to stop it where they would like to prevent a catastrophe. Spoiler ahead, watch out. Before midnight, all of the teenage guys in the town had to go after Sawtooth Jack to kill him. Only then possibly everybody enjoys the candy that is hidden among the parts of his body. The person who kills Sawtooth Jack becomes known as a hero and receives a car, a house for his family, $25,000, and a permit to leave town, something that is normally impossible. Only one son per family is permitted to participate in the run, and girls are not permitted. A group of youngsters wearing masks went looking to find the monster in 1962. On the journey, one of them is by himself, standing alone in the middle of the road. He was murdered by the monster as Sawtooth Jack suddenly emerged behind him. Shortly after, the rest of the young men discover their friend's burned body and spot the monster in the center of the cornfield. Then the monster is quickly followed by a revengeful boy named Jim, who knocks the monster to death just moments before Sawtooth Jack is about to show up at the church. They scream and celebrate Jim's win when he takes some sweets off the monster's body. Everybody eats the candy that the monster is hiding in his body. Following a successful run, the harvesters rejoice with a Halloween party, and Jim receives all of his rewards. This time around, the Harvesters Guild awards Jim with a new Chevrolet Corvette and $25,000 after he destroyed the monstrous being. Jim gives his younger brother Richie a hug and says, "I love you," before driving off in his brand new car. A year later, 5 days before Halloween, Sheriff Jerry returns to the school in order to remind the teens of the importance of the run. He showed photos from the year they failed to stop Sawtooth Jack, which resulted in a black duster from destroying the fields. Richie becomes annoyed when Jim is frequently mentioned as a perfect instance of a hero, since he wants to participate in the run, but is unable to do it because of the regulations. Riley mocks him for trying to offer assistance, even if the others actually do not have any choice in the matter. Some of the boys believe that this monster is not real and merely an adult attired in costumes, but Bud says he witnessed him outside his window when he was a child. Riley teases him too, which leads to an argument that is immediately stopped by the adult individuals. Then they leave school. Riley tries to follow Richie down the road after classes in order to win the fight, but Richie escapes hiding inside a movie theater. Then he meets Kelly, who is inside the theater. Kelly is a newcomer to the area. They engage in a conversation and become good friends, but when Richie invites her to the Halloween dance, she replies that she isn't allowed to attend the event since she is black. Then Richie promises to make changes to the regulation if he wins this year's run. Then Richie meets with Bud and Mitch. He is also convinced by his friends to break the rules and participate in the run, considering the fact that he's considerably faster compared to his brother. Jim, who they haven't seen since he won the run, has sent Richie a postcard. Once he gets home in the evening, his parents hand it to him. After telling his parents he'll take part in the run without considering the rules, which causes an argument, and his father slaps him. Richie becomes even more angry by this and informs his parents that they are incapable of intervening with his decisions. In the meantime, the farmer in the fields of corn walks up to an idle scarecrow stand and starts carving a pumpkin. Now, Sawtooth Jack carries a pumpkin for his head. Riley catches Richie on the following day, starts hitting him, and steals his belt. With the habit of the two brothers wearing matching belts, an emotional memory arises to revengeful Richie attempts to defend himself using a knife, but Riley instead beats him up once more and walks away. When Richie returns home, he discovers his brother's letter has been awaiting him in the mail. Jim convinces Richie not to take part in the run, given that their parents require his assistance, and confesses his apologies for not getting in touch with them sooner. After all of the misunderstandings, Richie makes the decision to steal a car and leave the town, but Sheriff Jerry blocks his way as soon as he passes the bridge. When Richie attempts to run away, Jerry takes him out back before he's able to exit. That evening, every parent locks their children in their rooms in order to keep them from running away and avoiding joining the run. In frustration, the guys knock on doors and walls, asking for food or a bathroom break, but their appeals go unanswered. That is how they are expected to be driven insane and starving for the run. They have to spend 3 days in this manner. When Halloween night finally appears, the farmer packs Sawtooth Jack full of candy and cuts Sawtooth Jack's rope so he can leave. Finally, all the teenage young boys in town have been permitted to take to the streets and begin their run. When Richie awakens in his bedroom, his only desire is to participate in the Halloween run. Richie walks out of the house despite the efforts of his parents, Dan and Donna, to discourage him from going. In the meantime, Bud, Charlie and Mitch use a truck to gain an advantage in the run. When several boys come up and criticize these individuals for fraud, Mitch quickly threatens them and forces them to leave. Richie ultimately joins him at that point, but prior to they can go, the unpleasant group returns and begins to damage the truck. Once more, Richie uses food to divert their focus, and eventually, the boys drive off. They head out of the city wearing masks. The majority of the gang is thrilled to get to the cornfields, but Bud is afraid due to the fact that he can clearly remember the day he spotted the monstrous creature out of his window. The truck brakes when they try to prevent crashing when something suddenly strikes the road. When they get out of the vehicle to have a look, they discover that the field has nothing. Then, believing that Sawtooth Jack had been hit by the truck and was already killed, they notice some candy close to the cornfield and rush to eat it. But then, they notice that the mysterious Sawtooth Jack is standing in the center of the field. Charlie and Bud are killed by Sawtooth Jack in just a couple of seconds as the youngsters rush toward him. Mitch is also killed. After that, Richie starts to run back while Sawtooth Jack screams at him and gives him an extended glance. He doesn't stop and is shocked to see Kelly there, a rule breaker just like him. Richie is shocked to see Bud hurrying by as well. Bud quickly comes back to town, faking death in order to get away. However, when he attempts to enter his own home, his parents refuse and encourage him to be a man since they cannot afford to forget the award. Bud is thinking about what to do when Sawtooth Jack suddenly arrives at him. He escapes and finds a shelter wherein a few boys are hiding. The scene begins with them discussing whether or not to let him in, but as they hear a great deal of yelling, a boy decides to open the entrance over the opposition, only to discover Sawtooth Jack killing Bud. A tiny kid is screaming from a neighboring window when he discovers Sawtooth Jack enters the innocent boys, killing all the teens and causing a torrent of blood to burst out of the entrance. Now the scene moves to Richie and Kelly. They break into Jerry's house covertly in order to steal some beer and a rifle. When Richie's father appears frightened and knocks on Jerry's door anxiously while they're there, he goes away when no one responds. Additionally, Richie and Kelly rob the police car. Jerry only has the chance to shoot a window before the kids drive off. Richie and Kelly decide to go downtown after hearing on the car's radio that the creature has been downtown. At the same time, teens on the main street break into stores and take as much food as they can. When the store owner tries to protect his shop, they surround him, beat him to death, and then steal all his food items and meal items in the shop. Richie and Kelly are shocked by the behavior of others. Riley finds them and laughs at Kelly for being in the run and insulting her with her skin color. Kelly gets captured by Riley's gang, while Richie is eventually angered enough to fight for themselves. He punches the two boys unconscious and then points his pistol at them. Richie obtains his belt, and Kelly takes advantage of another chance to hit them. The other starts killing one another. Sawtooth Jack soon discovers 3 boys on the run and sets up another attack. Nearby, Richie talks to Kelly about the negative things he has heard regarding her and expresses his utter disbelief in them. Kelly then explains that the girl did in fact set fire to an elderly man's barn because he was a racist prick. While they were discussing in the car, they heard on the radio that Sawtooth Jack was spotted once again. Without realizing that Jerry is laying up a trap to convince them that the news is untrue, the two head in that direction. When they get to Oak Street, where the radio informs the presence of the monster, they first come upon a blood-covered statue before Sawtooth Jack himself shows up. As Richie realizes the monster is wearing his brother's belt, he stops in his footsteps and runs to meet the monstrous individual. Kelly rushes in to strike the creature with her club, but Sawtooth Jack crashes her back and vanishes while Richie looks at her. After the two return to the car, Jerry finds them and tries to shoot Richie through the window. Jerry says he killed Kelly's parents simply because they were trying to get out of town. Kelly gets angry and strikes him, causing him to fire his pistol, just missing the side of her head. Jerry is promptly pushed aside by Richie, and the two get out of the car. Sawtooth Jack visits Jim's house and finds every single note that was written on the wall throughout the 3 days when Jim was locked up in his room prior to the run. The monster sets the whole building on fire. When they get to Richie's house a little while later, Donna, Richie's mother, is clearly dizzy after taking too much medicine. When Richie starts questioning his mother about the past winners, he understands that each of them has a similar destiny. Either they passed dead unexpectedly, or they moved far away and never got back in touch with their loved ones. Richie starts feeling suspicious that Donna, not Jim, was the one who wrote the postcards. Donna tells him this has to stop and chooses to self-destruct. Locals downtown have become frightened due to the massive fire at Jim's former residence. When Riley approaches Jerry and informs him he sees Sawtooth Jack close by, Riley gets the chance to enter the car. Dan is unexpectedly inside the church as Richie and Kelly arrive to wait for Sawtooth Jack. Richie declares his father an evil person during the course of the conflict, but Dan argues that parents don't know anything until the child wins. Then Jerry and Harvesters Guild contract them to silence, threatening to kill them if they tried to run away or notify anybody about the incident. Dan had an unbearable moment when he got to know that his wife had passed away. At that point, Sawtooth Jack emerges from outside the church and the bell begins to ring. Immediately accepting him and addressing him as Jim, Richie conveys his sincere gratitude. Richie holds Jack in his arms as Kelly rushes to attack Riley, but sadly Riley comes and shoots the monster. Jerry intervenes as well and forces Riley to try again, but Richie discourages Riley from using his own gun following the second attempt of Riley to kill his brother. To Richie's surprise, Sawtooth Jack reaches out and pulls his hand in a request to put an end to his pain. Richie apologizes to his brother and shoots his brother on his head. Richie is merely numb as the young men rush to get the candy, and Jerry appreciates him for the accomplishment. But no matter what all the racists condemning them, he dances and kisses Kelly. Kelly is picked up by Richie shortly after, and the two of them head out of town. Richie tries to speed up as soon as Jerry gets in the police car and starts following them, but he has to stop the car after nearly colliding with another vehicle. After forcing Kelly to hide, Richie exits the car, forcing him to walk into the cornfields. Once they reach the vacant stand, Richie turns back and shoots Jerry with 2 gunshots. However, when the farmer arrives, he knocks Richie over the head, leading him to fall into a grave. The farmer buries him up and drives off. Kelly drives away. A year later, on Halloween night, Dan, his father, releases him and continues to refer to him as Richie, then orders his inhumane son to set fire to the entire town. We really hope you enjoyed today's recap of the movie Dark Harvest 2023. Please leave a comment below on what you loved about the movie and why. Be sure to like the video, and please don't forget to support our channel by subscribing so you don't miss any amazing content. Until next time, light, camera, action. We look forward to seeing you in our next video.